What's going on, people? So this right here is the Vomero Plus. I did a full review of these, picked them up last month from Running Etc. It's one of the local stores around here, right? As far as like running stores, obviously. I'd like to support them because they support me, right? Like, very nice people over there, you know? Let me know when new stuff's coming in, or let me know what is coming in, so that way I can come around on the right days and all that stuff, right? And just generally nice people. But it is good to support your like local shops and whatnot. If you have those and you can do it, I would highly suggest doing it, because why not? Anyway, so like I was saying, this right here is the Vomero Plus. It came out in the beginning of last month. I went, did a lot of running around in these, some walking around in these, got all my thoughts together, and then it just took me forever to actually get around to sitting down and sharing those thoughts with whoever happens to watch these, the few dozen people that might be. Anyway, so here's gonna be this, right? So real quick, just kind of give you something to work with if this is like your first time seeing these, which is possible. So the thing here, right? The Vomero 18 had worked out very well for me. That's right here, the Vomero 18. And they are a very similar build, right? You can kind of look at it and see that. But one of the big differences is, see it in there? It says ZoomX on the thing. I mean, this one says it too, sure. But this one, it's kind of a lie, because it's a kind of a dual layer thing. You have this upper layer, like the olive sort of piece, right? And then you have this big, say like lime green type of color, or whatever that is. And then a little bit more down at the bottom. This middle piece and this bottom piece are actually ReactX. So the bulk of the midsole here is ReactX. That very upper thin layer is the ZoomX, right? The ZoomX is their better foam. The ReactX is fine. It's in the Pegasus and whatnot, right? Pegasi? I don't know. But either way, it's in a lot of other stuff and it works out fine, sure, but it's not their premier thing, right? So that's kind of one of the differences there. So when you bring this guy into the picture, where it says ZoomX, this whole midsole is going to be ZoomX, right? So you've got a whole lot of that. Which means that even though this one is actually barely tall, just barely taller than these right here, even though this has like less foam in it, it has better foam, which gives you like a better experience, makes the shoe overall lighter, more responsive, all that stuff. Also, the upper is lighter too, which gives the overall weight of the Plus lighter than the 18, so that's cool. When I say lighter on the upper, I mean that in as far as like weight and breathability. So just know that going into this, when this thing says Vomero Plus, it truly is plussed up in a lot of ways. So, well, minus the height, of course. Now, that aside, let's go ahead and get on to some things. I'll let you know how these things played out for me and all that, right? So, this right here, it's a highly cushioned shoe, right? You can kind of tell that going into it. And I wasn't sure how it would work out, honestly, because I've bought other things that are also like cushioned shoes, right? So, here I have the Superblast 2 and the Glycerin Max. Also, because of an error on my part, I grabbed the Nova Blast because I mistaked it for the Superblast. But, you know, they're both kind of the same color. You know, it happens. Anyway, so I was unsure how this was going to play out because I have two highly cushioned running shoes, and both of them played out differently, right? So the Superblast 2, this guy right here from Asics, lots of cushion in here. I think the same height-wise as the Glycerin Max. But the thing was, this one, because it's kind of like tuned for like speed and whatnot, you can move quite quickly in these without the extra effort. So I was like, oh, that's cool, right? So then when I bought these, I was wondering like, would this be the same? This is the Brooks Glycerin Max. Not really. They are highly cushioned. Definitely great for like those recovery run or slower run days or whatever the case may be. But if you want to move fast in them, you got to work for it. You can do it, right? I proved to myself that it could be done just to see if I could do it or whatever. But if you're looking for cushion and speed, you know, this isn't going to be your guy, right? But honestly, between those two, like, if you decide which one you want more of, then it's a pretty easy determination to figure out which one you should get. But anyway, so bringing this guy into the picture, I was like, well, one worked this way, the other worked that way. Well, which one is this going to lean towards? And this one honestly leans more towards the Superblast 2 side, in that it gives you a lot of cushion, and it's pretty good for the speed as well, because this ZoomX foam, it was actually like quite responsive, and I was a little surprised because, to be fair and honest and open with you guys, Nike, I don't always trust them for some reason. Like, they say stuff, and I'm just like, is it really that good, or are you guys just like bragging about yourselves? Because, you know, they seem a little full of themselves at times, right? But anyway, so it actually did end up working out well. So I ran with these on some event back in Iowa. It's like this hill based 5K type of thing where you go up this hill around this loop and come back down. But you have an option of like doing like the extended version where you like do the hill circle twice. I did that. So it was only like a 200-foot gain overall, elevation gain, but I did that in like a 7:30, so that was like 6 miles. So, and it felt smooth, right? Then I took these out a day or so later, ran around actually I was strangely not as flat as you might think in a lot of cases. Did a 7-mile thing, again, super smooth, and that I was, did an 8-minute mile pace, right? So that worked out pretty well too. So moving on though, I was like, okay, well now let me go ahead and, since these are supposed to be comparing with the Vomero Plus, let me go ahead and see how these go neck to neck, right? So running around in these, right? I took these out first, ran a mile in them at 6:30, right? Roughly 6:30, 6:38, something like that for the pacing. So just did a mile in these, just kind of see how that felt. And it felt strangely good, right? Because again, it's a bit thicker, but I was able to move quickly. They have a nice bit of energy return and rebound and all that stuff, whatever you want to call it, down here in the midsole. So things were nice, right? But then I'm like, okay, let me go back and pull these out and just, alternate laps or whatever with the different shoes. So running 3 laps around after that, which is on this track and a lot of tracks is 3/4 of a mile, right? So I did it at a 7:15 pace, right? Because that was what felt comfortable to me. So doing that, moving, fairly quickly, right? Not fast, but like quick enough. It definitely felt flatter underfoot and like, a little stiffer and all that stuff, which was expected. This definitely felt like way more fluid, so I was definitely into that. And then after that whole thing, settling those thoughts and whatever, I took these out for another lap around just to see how they would do with like moving quicker, right? Which was somewhere between like a 5 and 6 minute pace, right? It fluctuated because I think I like ran 1 lap and then like I sprinted like a straight or something. I don't remember, but like the first of it was like the 5-ish, and then like the last part was like a 6, right? So I was just running around in these just to see how it felt, right? They felt pretty good, right? It wouldn't be like my ideal go-to, but I did that just to say that, yeah, you actually can move quite quickly in these without feeling like you're putting in as much effort as, say, like, again, something like the Glycerin Max, right? So they felt really good. As far as walking in them, right? Like, I don't really buy shoes like this for walking, but I did have to walk in them because I didn't just like magically appear in these places where I was, you know what I mean? Initially, they felt super bouncy and whatnot, right? In the back end, I was just like, I'm not a fan of that, Same reason I don't really care so much for like the Blast, or the Nimbus of certain years. So it either died down a bit or I got used to it. I'm honestly not sure, but eventually I was at the point where I'm like, okay, this is fine. I can deal with this or whatever, not a big deal. However, this one, because it just still, even though it felt like stiffer and whatnot, right? Like, and that's not gonna be for everybody. It's for me, right? Like I said, I'm a big fan of the Kayano series, right? So this one right here, if I was just going to walk around in something, I would honestly rather wear the Vomero 18. It's super comfortable still, right? Just not as cushiony and whatnot as these, obviously. But if you're not running in something, you don't really need all like the running tuned tech anyways, right? That's kind of my stance on things. Do whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you how I feel, right? So walking around in these would be my preference, the Vomero 18. And then running around in these would be obviously better, which was expected, right? So yeah, you can move quickly in these and still be pretty well cushioned down there if you want to take it slow. Do like the recovery runs and all that stuff. I was going to use these for the 8-miler because I was on the pace team, so I was doing the 8-minute pace. Well, originally I was doing the 9-minute pacing, so I was going to wear these. But then I got bumped over to the 8-minute pace, so I used the Mega Blast. So I was like, well, I'm going to want something that's a little more on the speed side. This right here, this is the Pegasus Premium, right? There is a Vomero Premium coming up next month because it is September. So next month, that should come out. But just comparing these two things, right? Like I haven't worn these in a while because I honestly just don't really like them that much. And I would still say, just by off of memory, because I did wear these a lot when I wore them, I would still prefer like the Vomero 18, the Vomero Plus over these, or the 18. Running wise, these, they just feel unstable at best because like something about this air unit it's just not working. Like, I think that's what makes it feel a little weird in there, right? Because between like this React X at the bottom, the Zoom X at the top, it just felt a little wobbly in a lot of cases. And even walking in these just felt like weird too. I'm not going to say it's uncomfortable, right? Because it's very cushiony. It's just, it doesn't feel very stable, and I just don't care for that. So it is what it is. I mean, they look cool. Like, I really wanted to like these a lot more than I did, and I just don't, right? Just being honest with you. For $225, I would want something that would work out a little bit better. This coming in at just 180. Yeah, 180. These were each 200. The Vomero 18, I want to say, is 150. But yeah, but these right here, excellent value. I wouldn't jump on them right now. They're still fairly new. A lot of colors should come up because that's what they did with the Vomero 18. If these take off like those did, as far as people being into them, which I can totally see happening, a lot more colors will come around in the next few months, which means a lot of price drops will happen, and then you don't have to spend that whole 180, right? So if you can save some money, save some money. That's my take on things. But yeah, expect good things if you were thinking about picking up a pair of these. I know there's a long way to get to that, but I like to give people something to work with, so there's something to work with. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever's wherever you are. What's next? Alex Ross is next, so I'm going to talk about that. I like comic book stuff, so, you know, it is what it is. Later, people.